Hey guys, it's Scully here, and today we're going to be going through every FNaF theory ever. This is going to be a series since there are about more than a couple hundred on here. I'm using FNaF theories, Wikipedia theory glossary for this, which I will put in the description down below for you, so you can check it out for yourself. And before we get into it, I just need to remind you guys that these are my opinions. You may or may not agree with them, and that is completely okay. That is completely okay. Without any further ado, let's get into it, because this is going to take a long time to get through. Alright, our first theory. 14 theory. Golden Freddy is the one you should not have killed. From Ultimate Custom Night, it is represented by the number 14, and shows that Golden Freddy is the 14th animatronic on UCN's roster. To which you get high school years, the lockers number 14 is slanted similar to how Golden Freddy is in UCN's roster, and it is widely interpreted that Toy Chica is in these cutscenes is a representation of Willie Mafton. Toy Chica leans on locker 15, and the 15th character on the UCN roster is Springtrap. And UCN's FNaF 4 office, there are 14 stars on the wall, one of which is white, unlike the others, which are a gray color. And in UCN, there are 6 Bear Avengers cutscenes, 7 Toy Chica the high school years cutscenes, and the Golden Freddy cutscene totaling 14. And under Golden Cassidy in the survival logbook on the page where the puppet is shown giving cake to a girl, there are 14 tally marks. And under Golden Victim, for any theory that has Bite Victim inside Golden Freddy, in the survival logbook on the Foxy grid, the last number visible in the grid before stopping completely is 14. And it also says that several years of events depicted in FNaF can allude to the year in which the first game takes place with the number 14. And then the number 7 also appears a few times in UCN, but yeah. Alright, so I do believe that Golden Freddy is the one you should not have killed, but I'm not entirely sure the number 14 just being more than a coincidence. I think it's just, I mean, honestly, 14 could just be a number that Scott likes, to be fair. This theory, I'm open to the whole representation of the number 14, but I do believe that Golden Freddy is the one you should have killed. 1 after 2. The confirmed theory that FNaF 1 takes place after FNaF 2. Yeah, as it says, it's confirmed, so yeah, that's true. 1 before 2. The debunked theory that FNaF 1 takes place before FNaF 2. Yeah, 1 after 2 was confirmed, so this one had to be debunked since FNaF 1 talks about the bite of 87, and then FNaF 2 takes place in the year 1987. 4 after 1. FNaF 4 takes place after FNaF 1. I don't believe that to be the case, and there are 3 more as to mention. 4 after 3. FNaF 4 takes place after FNaF 3. 4 after SL. FNaF 4 takes place after Sister Location. And 4 before SL. FNaF 4 takes place before Sister Location. Out of these 4, I think the only one that's correct for me is 4 before SL. Because with FNaF 4, you get the Bite of 83, and I think that is a turning point in the franchise where Willie Mafton decides to go cuckoo bananas and quote-unquote hurt a bunch of kids. Alright, but we are finally out of the number column. We are now in A's. Alright. Abby Beth. Abby Schmidt is a representation of Elizabeth Afton. Yeah. And it's also known as Elizagale. And it seems like the kids in the FNaF movie, Mike's family in the FNaF movie, the kids are representing the Afton kids in the games. Because you got Garrett in stand for Evan, you got Abby in stand for Elizabeth, and you got Mike in stand of Mike from the games. And, you know, Evan dies, and that becomes a turning point in both Mike and Abby's life. And also, yeah, Abby is nearly killed in the Ella Springlock animatronic, which does look similar to Circus Baby. It also says that one of the pieces of evidence is Abby's name is an anagram of baby, but I don't really see that being anything more than a coincidence by the creators. And then obviously it does have problems with it, such as Abby not being Afton's daughter in the movie. Adopted bro. Foxy bro is adopted. The photo for this section is Afton in front of an adoption center with Crying Child and Foxy Bro. And there's only 2 pieces of evidence for this, that Foxy Bro has a different skin tone from the rest of the family, and the Immortal and the Restless, claiming that a vampiric infant is not his child. This refers to how Foxy Bro is possibly adopted by William Afton, Mrs. Afton. I see more as the Immortal and the Restless representing that William is, like, Mike is William's kid, but William just refuses to accept that. Adult theory. The Funtime animatronics were made for adult entertainment. This was debunked by Scott Cawthon in an interview with Daco. No, this one. So, I think the only real piece of evidence for that before the game came out was, you know, Ballor's risque design. You know, not that Twin Chico was any better, but yeah. Afton MM. Midnight Motorist is about the Afton family. I do believe that to be the case. I think the only reason why Orange Guy's orange is just to throw us off the course, because obviously we know that's Afton. Because there's no one in the games that we think would say he went to that place again, he'll be sorry when he gets back. Game-wise, like book-wise, we can name a lot, like a few characters we can name from the books. You could say that, but in the games, we're like, oh, yeah, that's gotta be William. Agony Corpse. Burn Trap is created from William Afton's Agony. I see it more as the Mimic is Burn Trap, because originally Burn Trap wasn't even supposed to move, so. And then it was just later reworked that it could possibly just be the Mimic controlling Burn Trap, since later in Security Breach Ruin, the Mimic is down there. Agony Plush. The favorite plush is infected with agony. The only instance where I've heard of that theory is in FNaF's timeline video, which is an interesting theory. It is very interesting. And it could possibly also lead to the fear experiments in Didophobia. And I'm open to Agony Plush, but I may not necessarily, like, outright believe it unless it's shown. Like, I don't entirely believe it, but I'm open to it being accepted. Agony Tangle. Tangle/Blob in Security Breach is possessed by Agony. I do see that being the case. I completely agree with that theory, since it seems like this mindless beast that attacks anyone. Like, not just Afton, anyone with the Afton name, it's more just anyone that gets close to it that isn't also an animatronic. Agony victim. The bite victim died in the bite of 83, and all that remains is a ghost/imprint made of his agony. I see more the bite victim. Oh, he does die the bite of 83, and his remnant does imprint on the Freddy suit. I don't think he is entirely agony, though. Like, agony is, your fear, your grief, your anger poured into an object. So, and remnant is, almost exactly like that, but, just different things. Alright. Alt Eleanor. Eleanor exists in the game's continuity, but is a different version than the Eleanor seen in the Fazbear Frights. Eleanor is Circus Baby. It's just Circus Baby. But, like, come on, man. There is an alt version. There is an alternative version of Eleanor in the games, and that is Circus Baby. Like, Eleanor looks like Circus Baby, is manipulative like Circus Baby, and uses sound illusion discs like Circus Baby in the fourth closet. Alright, Andrew Afton. Andrew was a member of the Afton family. No, I don't believe that to be the case. That is... I don't particularly like that one. Andrew attached. Andrew's spirit attached itself to William Afton's body. That is confirmed that Andrew's spirit attached itself. Man in room 1280. Like, there's a kid with a gator mask that attaches itself to William's body. It's obviously Andrew. Being a book parallel to Cassidy in the games. He's the Fazbear Frights vengeful spirit. Andrew Boy Sprite. The boy in the fetch minigame from Into the Pit game is Andrew. Okay, yeah. I'm looking at it right now. Yeah, it could possibly be Andrew, but Into the Pit is filled with like a bunch of Easter eggs from points in the franchise, like Garrett's Sweet Plane, or like Henry and Williams' photo from Silver Eyes in there. I think that Andrew's sprite in the fetch minigame is just an Easter egg. I don't think that's like any sort of like lore connected to that. I think it's just a nice nod to like, hey, here's your vengeful spirit from Fazbear Frights. When we got Fetch, Count the Ways, and To Be Beautiful in there. Okay. Andrew DCI. Andrew is a victim of the Dead Children incident. I don't believe that to be the case. Because I know, like, you mentioned a kid who has a definitive name. But I think that Andrew was part of the MCI in the Fazbear Frights universe. Because there were 6 kids in the Frights universe. 6. If we can take, like, Agony Memory, time travel seriously. I mean, possibly in Fazbear Frights universe, he could be part of the DCI, but not in the games. I don't believe he's connected to the games at all. Andrew experiments. Andrew was a test subject of William Afton's FNaF 4 Fear Guys experiments, which are shown in the Tales from the Pizzaplex story, Dittophobia. that. Alright. In the seniors, Andrew says, I remember I wanted him to suffer the way he made me suffer, which could be referring to how Andrew created UCN in an attempt to make William Afton go through the exact same thing he went in the test chambers. In UCN, the FNaF 4 themed office is the only office to not have mixed elements from the other games, once again making a direct connection to the test chambers. Under Andrew MM. It's possible that the runaway kid is Andrew, who was lured or killed by William for him to throw in the test chambers. God, I cannot speak today. Okay, so possibly, because it could be, yeah, it could be possible that this happens. I am open to it happening, but yeah. Andrew Games. Andrew from the Fazbear Frights novella series exists in the game's continuity. No, I don't believe that to be the case. As I said before, I believe Andrew to be a parallel to Cassidy, who seems to be going through the same vengeful spirit routine with William Afton's body. Andrew HD. Andrew from the Fazbear Frights novella series is the child wearing a green mask in FNaF 3's Happiest Day minigame. That could be the case as well. We don't really see any other character wearing a gator mask. But, you know, the only, like, real piece of evidence is, you know, the sprite. And also, it's also implied that Andrew does get his happiest day. So it could be that. Ads. Blocking. Theories. Andrew MCI. Andrew is a victim of the missing children's incidents. Not in the games, no. Maybe in Fazbear Frights as a stand-in for Cassidy. But not in the games. Because in the games, we already know the 5 kids that go missing. That is Gabriel, Jeremy, Susie, Fritz, and Cassidy. Andrew MM. Andrew is the runaway child, a midnight motorist. I like the interpretation of this theory. You know, with the footprints outside of the window could be the yellow rabbits luring. He could be Spring Bonnie, Yellow Rabbit, whatever you want to call him, standing in front of that window, luring Andrew to him. But I am more of a fan of Mike MM. Mike is the runaway child, such as in, you know, FNAF's timeline video. I'm gonna refer to that a lot throughout the series. But yeah. Andrew OMC. Andrew is Old Man Consequences from UCN. I don't believe that to be the case. I see Old Man Consequences being more of a benevolent spirit, while Andrew is more of the vengeful spirit type. Because obviously Old Man Consequences is like, hey, leave the demon to his demons. Rest your own soul. There is nothing else. If Andrew did that, he would persuade Cassidy to keep going. Like, just outright just torture for all eternity. That sort of thing. Andrew Pizza. Andrew's corpse was made into pizza and eaten by William Afton. I think William Afton would set himself to higher standards than eating someone. I think he is too much of a narcissistic asshole She'd be like, hey, I'm gonna eat a kid. Yeah, I don't think that is the case. Andrew plush. Andrew is the Freddy plush from FNaF 4. No. I am more of a fan of Agony plush than any other plush theory, so, yeah. Andrew Toyshin. Andrew is the one you shouldn't have killed. In the Fazbear Frights books, yes, but not in the games. Andrew victim. Andrew is the bite victim. No, he's not the bite victim. I don't believe that. Andrew witness / Andrew saw MCI. Andrew witnessed the events of the missing children's incidents. Possibly, if he exists in the game's continuity, but I don't really see it being the case unless it's shown. Andrew Zero / Andrew First. Andrew was the first victim of William Afton. I don't believe that to be the case because in the games it's Charlotte Emily, possibly in the Fazbear Fright story, but you know, being the vengeful spirit, parallel to Cassidy type, I see him more as being an MCI victim in Fright's universe. Another CC. Gregory is chosen by the Mimic as a replacement for the crying child. Possibly, given how they look similar. And also, you know, GGY, that Tales from the Pizza Block story. And another David. Gregory is chosen by the Mimic as a replacement for David. So, I'm more leaning towards another CC, because at the time the Mimic is mimicking William Afton, and is more looking to put that family back together. Alright, another Nessa. Nessa and Vanny are two different people. I think the evidence for this is the VIP ending, I'm guessing? Yeah. Basically, the VIP ending has Vanessa being pushed off of a roof by Glamrock Freddy, and Gregory takes the mask off. It's Vanessa, and it pans up to the you know, flaming roof, and Vanessa is there in her security uniform. So, but yeah, Glamrock Freddy does hint at Vanessa being Vanny, and obviously, you know, we believe that to be the case. I think what that's showing is that Vanessa's dead, and that's her spirit just staying there. But honestly, I'm not going to take a whole lot of security breach theories seriously, because security breach was not as Scott intended it to be. Anti-dream theory. Dream theory was never the original intended story for FNaF 1 through 4, obviously. Because you know how much it would suck that the first 4 games were like, oh, this story is so great, and then it turns out to just be all the dream. That'd be dumb. Arcade theory. The MCI victims possess the arcade machines in FNaF 3. That could be the case, but I am but yeah, I mean, honestly, I could see that being the case, showing that, you know, we can get the good ending by using arcade machines, helping those kids get their happiest day. There could be some spiritual influence in there. Arnold Hand. The debunked theory that the protagonist of Secret of the Mimic would lose his hand by the end of the game. Okay, so a pseudo Ethan Winters, but obviously has been debunked since the game came out, and that didn't happen. It would have been cool to see that happen, but you know, Auction theory. Michael Afton buys haunted items from the auction after the FNaF 3 fire, which leads him to experiencing the FNaF 4 nightmares. I don't see that being the case. Yeah, I don't really see that being the case. Because, honestly, by this time, Michael is a walking, talking corpse. And, honestly, I don't think he would have enough money, even through having some night shift minimum wage jobs, to, participate in an auction. And also how he looks. Very nasty. Avatar Princess. The Princess and Princess Quest is only an avatar controlled by Gregory. Possibly. Baffled Killers. The animatronics kill night guards because they think they're William Afton. I think that's true in the case of FNaF 1, since Mike does look like his dad. FNaF 2 is more like they have a general distaste for adults. Ballora Afton. Ballora's design is based on Mrs. Afton, or Ballora is haunted by Mrs. Afton. I believe that Ballora's design is based on Mrs. Afton, but she's not haunted by Mrs. Afton. I think Mrs. Afton just walked out of the picture, and Ballora is possessed by MCI conglomerate like Funtime Freddy, Funtime Foxy. BB Victim. The bite victim possesses Balloon Boy. No. Absolutely not. Because, Balloon Boy's a piece of shit. And I'm not going to take any theory involving him seriously. Bill Nunn. Vanessa's father, Bill A., is made up and not a real person. Maybe. But it could also be like a way of saying, like, oh, this is how Elizabeth got into William's custody, because he was all manipulative and stuff like that. Like, I could see that being the case, and that's just the, the control over her taking over and just making up shit. Or presenting another family's memories as her own. Blackout MM. William Afton kidnapped and killed the bite victim before Midnight Motorist, later forgetting due to being drunk. I don't believe that being the case at all. I think that William Afton, while he was drunk, killed Charlotte Emily in the alleyway behind, whether it be Fredbear's or Freddy Fazbear's at that time, and then he went home. And then their next two theories are practically the same thing. Blob DCI and Blob MCI. The Blob / Tangled is possessed by the DCI victims or MCI victims. Agony Tangled is more what boat I float, so yeah. Bon Millie. Bon is possessed by Millie from Count the Ways, but Bon wasn't even present in Count the Ways, and most of the time Bon is not a threat. Like, I see it more as being MCI conglomerate, like the same way Funtime Freddy was. And most of the time it is sister location. Bon is just used as a distraction for Funtime Freddy to get back to his stage. Because the only time Bon can actually kill you is night 3 during repairs, and in the special bonus custom nights if you select Funtime Freddy to be a part of it. Both HW2 canon endings, Both endings of Help 1 and 2 are canon. I haven't played Help 1 and 2. It's the only FNaF game that I haven't played or have seen a whole lot of. I have seen people beat it, but I haven't. But it's been a couple of years, so I can't remember. I haven't seen it since like it came out, so I don't remember anything from it. Bounce Pod bites. Bounce Pod is the culprit of the bite of A7. No. Like, the only piece of evidence is FNaF World, the whole I caused the bite of A7, and then Bounce Pod is showing up. But I think there's just a joke. It was just a joke. Bullies MCI. The FNaF 4 bullies and the bite victim were the victims of the MCI. No, I don't believe that to be the case. Bite victim was the victim of the bite of A3. Michael Afton is the Foxy bro that got scooped. And it also could be hinting that Oswald's dad was the Freddy bully. But I don't believe in bullies MCI. And yeah, these next two are alright. Burn Afton and Burn Mimic. Burn Trap is William Afton, and Burn Trap is the Mimic. I more believe in Burn Mimic than anything else, really. Because I don't see, Afton coming back after Pizzeria Sim. Burn Trap canon ending. Burn Trap is the canon ending of Security Breach. I'm more leaning towards the Princess Quest ending being the canon ending to the game. Since in Ruin you find these little comics that show different endings from the game, and the only one not present is the Princess Quest ending, which I consider the best ending. Brazil canon ending. The Brazil ending is the canon ending of Five Freddy's Security Breach Ruin. I am more leaning towards the elevator ending being the canon ending, just because of like Roxy's line afterwards of her like saying Cassie, because that hasn't happened in either of the two endings as far as I'm aware. But let me know if I am wrong. So, Brooks Toy Shink. Michael Brooks is the one you should not have killed. Michael Brooks is the Golden Freddy in the Silver Eyes trilogy. And that could be the case in the Silver Eyes novels. But also Cassidy does exist in the Silver Eyes, so I see it more as Cassidy in the Silver Eyes being Toy Shink, as well as the games, so I am a bit against Brooks Toy Shink. Brooks victim. Michael Brooks in the novel trilogy is the bite victim from FNaF 4. No. It was clearly shown in the Silver Eyes that he was a victim of the MCI back in 1985. BV 5th. The bite victim was the 5th victim of the Mission Children's incident. No. The bite victim died before that. 2 years before the bite. 2 years before the MCI, the bite victim died. And then these next two, BV-83, the bite victim was the victim of the bite of A3, and BV-87, the bite victim was the victim of the bite of A7. Now there's also two separate bite victims technically for two different bites. Well, if you're talking about like the crying child bite victim, that's the bite of A3. If you're talking about like Jeremy Fitzgerald or a kid, a random kid, bite of A7. BV adopted. The bite victim was adopted by William Afton. I don't see that being the case. I am more a fan of this next one, BV Afton. The bite victim is the son of William Afton. Because it'd be pretty fucked if William took care of an adopted kid more than his own son, Mike. But I think he was like, oh, he's my favorite son now. No, that's his son. I don't think he really cares about anyone but himself, but he does care about his quote-unquote real kids. And he doesn't believe Mike is one of them. BV Bear. The bear in Bear Vengeance represents the bite victim. I could see that being the case. I have seen a video where it's like, you know, those losing battles against the evil fox. What was the name of that character? Is it just the fox? Okay, it's just the fox, yeah. Yeah, the bear sucks the fox's blood in his hands, which could be a reference to the Bite of A3. But yeah, they talk about like humanly battles where the bear always loses. That could always be the case. But yeah, I could see that being true. BV Dreamer. The bite victim experienced the FNaF 4 nightmares. I do believe that to be true. BV Emily. The bite victim is the son of Henry Emily. Again, BV Apton believer, not BV Emily. BV Experiments. The bite victim was a test subject of Willie Mafton's FNaF 4 fear gas experiments, which are shown in Datophobia. I see it more as the bite victim was the inspiration for these experiments, as theorized in FNAF's timeline video. See, told you we're going to get back to that. Yeah. I think he's the inspiration, not necessarily that he was a test subject in that. BV Favorites. The bite victim was Willie Mafton's favorite child. I think that the bite victim was William's favorite son, and Elizabeth was his favorite daughter. Because it seems like in the games he does care about them enough to not let them get killed. Because I think with bite victim he was just ignorant to what Michael was doing, because he didn't care about what Michael did that much. And then you get Elizabeth, where he's like, hey, don't get close to baby. You're not allowed near circus baby. So he has some level of care towards kids that he cares about. BV First. The bite victim dies first before Charlotte Emily, Elizabeth Afton, and the MCI. Yes, I do believe that to be the case. With the bite victim dying, it could turn into a snapping point for Willie Mafton to go on a full-on murder spree. And also, if Elizabeth did die in A4 before the MCI, that could be another like gradual point where it snaps and commits the MCI and all that. BV MCI Friends. The bite victim was friends with the missing children incident victims. Could be the case, but I see it more as the bite victim just never had any friends, since he was more close to his plushies and was constantly teased by the other kids in his community. BV Mounds. The bite victim is buried beneath the mound in Midnight Motorist. I definitely see that being the case, obviously with Mike Runaway theory being correct. If Mike Runaway theory is correct and all that. But yeah, I could see BV Mound being the case. BV Nunn. The bite victim is not related to any important characters. I see it more as BV Afton. BV OMC. The bite victim is Old Man Consequences. I see it more moving on. Like in Happy Stay with Charlie and the MCI kids besides Cassidy, they all just move on. And they don't stay behind. BV Puppet. The bite victim possesses the puppet. I see more the right victim possessing the animatronic that bit down on him, Fredbear. aka Freddy. BV receiver. The bite victim is the 5th recipient of Happiest Day. Yeah. Like with the BVOMC earlier, I was talking about him moving on. Because of Happiest Day. Yeah, I see that being the case. BV runaway. The bite victim is the runaway child in Midnight Motors. Again, I see it more as Mike being the runaway child. BV Sammy. The bite victim is Sammy and Emily from the novel trilogy. If Sammy does exist in the games, I see him more surviving and just moving with his mom. Because I don't see really him being the bite victim. Now, it does seem like he's going to appear in the FNaF movie. And it looks like he's going to die. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. BB Schmidt. The bite victim and Foxy Bro are part of the Schmidt family. So here's my interpretation. They're both part of the Afton family, but Foxy Bro, aka Mike Schmidt, takes his mother's maiden name because his dad believes he's illegitimate and not his. Like, that's my interpretation of it. You guys can... Because I see it more as, like, he uses his actual name instead of an alias, besides, like, Fritz Smith being an actual alias of his. BB stuff. The bite victim's corpse was stuffed into Golden Freddy. As I said, I am more of a believer of BB mounds than BB stuff. Because Cassie's body was stuffed in there, and also I don't think William would have any such motive to stuff the bite victim into Golden Freddy, like at all. Because I don't think he has the idea until Stark's baby. BV survival. The bite victim lived after his heart monitor flatlined in FNaF 4. Obviously, you can't really live after your monitor flatlines unless you get disconnected. Like, I don't believe that to be the case. He sort of lives on as Fredbear, Golden Freddy, you know, but I don't see him living, like actually living in his body after his heart monitor flatlines. BV toy shake. The bite victim is the one you should not have killed. I think that it would only be the case if the Mike Hell theory is correct, that Mike is the one serving eternal torment in the museum. So I'm more of a fan of Cassidy Toyship. And BV World Player. The bite victim is the player character in FNaF World. Possibly with, you know, the glitchy Fredbear sprite telling us things, like secret things and all that. But I don't see, like really any FNaF World theory being taken seriously at all. But I think we should end it off here for today. We are nearing an hour into this, like 3/4 of an hour. So, if you enjoyed this video and want to see more, please like and subscribe. It's free, and you can always unsubscribe later. It's fun, you know, going back and looking at theories that I have and have not heard of before. I will be definitely doing more in the future. And without any further ado, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye!